Pisco wants to be here for this.
What's up, brother?
Hi, what's up, babe?
Whoa. Have you had a good weekend so far?
Is it the weekend? Yeah. My days are all good. How about you? You having a fun weekend?
Yeah, I am. I actually am.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah. What's been your life since we last spoke?
Didn't we speak like yesterday or the day before?
I don't think we spoke yesterday.
Oh, I think my life's been okay.
We only talk about Jan 6 and stuff like that. You realize that?
True. We should talk about other things.
Like what?
How's New York treating you?
It's good. Why don't you move here?
Taxes are brutal.
Dude, come on. You got money.
Dude, yeah, that's the whole point.
Start
if I get taxed, I won't have any left.
You could start an awesome studio and, branch out. You have your Miami studio, you have your New York studio, half-time in New York, half-time in Miami.
True. Okay, I'll think about it.
Yeah, all right. So are we watching this?
Yeah. You need to hear this somehow, though, right?
I thought you were going to share a screen. That's why I did the little...
You're gonna
I
make
can also
me...
be on camera if you need, but
How
I don't
the
need to be
fuck
that.
can I share a screen? That's a whole ass thing. Hi.
You don't have to.
No, we'll figure it out. I can do this.
Look.
Oh, close.
Move your phone.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Thank you.
I got your Red Bull.
What?
The Red Bull I borrowed, I got one.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Is that Lycan?
Yeah. Okay.
He's leaving, huh?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. I guess we all are, in a way.
Wow. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
You could share a screen, or, I could do it in delay, but that's kind of annoying.
No, hold on. I can
Yeah.
do this. Okay?
Yeah.
I can do this.
I believe.
Okay. Hold on. Just let me...
By the way, I was totally trolling about the VPN stuff. I didn't really know anything about the...
Don't worry, I know.
Whether or not... Yeah, okay.
Piece of shit. Okay, so if I start this, and then I do this, okay, you can see this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Have a good night.
Be careful. Okay, the only issue is you can't hear.
I should be able to if you're sharing sounds.
I know you'd think that, huh? Also, wait, is there a way to not have the camera like fucking mirrored? Rolls videos.
I'm not sure.
There is a way. Well, because it's mirrored right now, so if there's text on the screen, it's probably backwards for you, right?
It's not mirrored. No, it's
Are you
correct.
sure?
AJW was wrong, yeah. I can read it, yeah. Is it backwards for you?
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Are you sure?
Would I lie about that? What incentive do I have to lie about whether it's mirrored?
Well, that's so weird. Well, now I don't know what other people are seeing. Mirroring is only... That's so weird, because it looks mirrored for me, but it's not for you. Okay, if you say it's not for you, okay.
It's perfect. I promise.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
A little background.
No, that's okay. Just real quick, I'm just making sure. You probably can't hear this, can you? Let me check.
Viewers of this channel, my name is Sean, and I have...
Okay. I understand. I understand. No. Oh, no. Not only is it possible, it's trivial, okay? It's trivially easy, all right? Hold on.
Yeah.
Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, sir. Oh, wait. Fuck, but this might be fucked. Okay, hold on. Speak for a second.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here you
It's
go.
not gonna work, is it?
Oh, no, it is.
My name is Sean, and I have erred. I have made a mistake. I have...
Okay. You hear that fine, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, easy.
Well done, dude.
Well, hold on.
I've said things...
Okay.
Oh, they're hearing double.
Yeah, because I'm routing this into my microphone. But don't worry, hold on. Hold on. I can do anything. Change. Anything new or exciting happening with you? I know what I'm
Yeah,
gonna do.
man.
Yeah, hit me up. What do you got?
Well, one, I think I'm going to be in Miami with you.
Oh,
in
for the
November.
election?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
shit.
I have to like coordinate getting some tickets.
Okay.
But I might be there a little early for like a weekend.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that we need to hang out or anything. We could just keep it, business between us.
Thank God. Okay. Get me nervous there for
Yeah.
a second.
Are they raising your rent?
Yeah, that's, it's just life. What are you going to do?
Yeah. How much do you pay?
4,900 a month, I think. It's gone to like 55 or something. I don't remember, something like that.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you just gotta go hard,
I guess. What do you think about the DNC? Did you watch any of it?
I caught a lot of excerpts of Obama, Oprah, Walz, AOC seemed to do well. I watched all of Harris's speech. Yeah.
I do have a take on the Israel-Palestine component of what Kamala said, which is, I think that like all of the protesters and all the pushback from the left, that can all be like a thing that is, a positive, that people are making sure that the administration is keeping in check, like the number of lives lost and the destruction in Gaza. All that's fine, but you have to recognize, those of you who are critiquing Kamala for what she said or what she didn't say, how weird of a situation she's in. Like, number one, she cannot publicly undermine the administration in their negotiations and what's going on publicly. That's just an untenable position. And so, like, can you imagine, Stephen, what would happen if she came out and said, the United States of America, under my leadership, will recognize that what's going on in Palestine is a genocide and that Benjamin Netanyahu is party to a genocide. And we will consider strongly withholding any military equipment in furtherance of the genocide. You agree that that's like what a lot of
Basically, nothing less
want.
than that would be acceptable. Yeah.
But that would be so. First of all, I think that would jeopardize significantly her chances of winning the
Yeah,
election.
of course.
And she has an obligation to the Palestinian people to win, because regardless of what you just need to be realistic about this and practical. She needs to win to get the best possible outcome for Palestinians. And so saying that would completely jeopardize the relationship with Israel and any kind of potential negotiations, or like another government that might come in under Netanyahu. Like, they'll not want to do a deal with Kamala if she says that, number one, and it'll prolong the conflict. And what good would it do, really? Would it get to a situation in which you have an embargo? Would it bring about some ceasefire quicker? I just don't understand what is being desired of here. What is being asked of here, and how would it, the kind of in most inflammatory rhetoric, which you can argue about whether or not it's true, how would that bring about your goals? Anyway, that's just my take on that.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of dumb. Real quick, is there a way to bring up that Matty Fire interface thing, guys? That for anybody that knows how this works, without me having to download a separate thing? Because if not, then fuck it, we won't worry about it for now. I need one more channel on my computer to output this separate audio channel, but I don't remember if I have to download a separate Fire thing for this.
Because you're running two computers.
Yeah, it's just a little annoying. But if I had this thing, I just need one more thing. I know what I need to do, but I don't think I can do it. Right, I need to download
It's
a thing
like what
for that.
Kylo Ren said to Han Solo.
True. It's the fire-looking icon in the system tray. Yeah, I don't see that icon down here. I don't know, because I only installed Total Mix. I didn't reinstall that other thing. I didn't think about it. Fuck. Okay, don't worry about it. Just stop desktop audio in OBS and run the audio through your mic. Yeah, I can do that, but then, okay, hold on. I'm about to make changes. I'm going to lose all my shit and get fucked. Okay. Okay. If I do, hold on.
Things that are inaccurate, wrong, not even.
I understand. Okay. Because you need this here. Okay. And now you talk.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah.
And then I'm going to come over here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to play. Okay. And then I'm going to do this. Okay. Probably this. Okay. And then this shouldn't be echoing at all. Tell me you can hear everything. Everything's fine, right?
Even close, not
Yeah,
correct.
oh, wow.
And today I have to correct that because
Okay.
I
And they don't
can't
hear
say repeated.
anything weird on stream. You guys are fine? Okay,
Nope,
it
everything's
is.
good.
Yeah, okay. All right. Fuck it.
Perfect. You're like a whiz.
Sometimes. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. If I say pause, will you pause?
Always.
Okay.
Okay. Going back to the beginning. Good luck.
I pre-watched.
Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and I have erred. I have made a mistake. I have said things that are inaccurate, wrong, not even close, not correct. And today I have to correct that because
you love this posture initially, right? So
No.
I think this is ultimately a failed video, but the starting of it and just saying that I was wrong about something, that's you can give him some like
No.
if the video were better, which it's not.
Yeah, I know, Sean. I know that's a meme.
Say more about
So
it.
he doesn't get any credit because it's so fun. I know it's a
Alright.
fucking meme. But okay. My prediction is, I haven't watched this yet. I've seen some comments about it, but my prediction is just that it's just going to be like, oh, I was wrong, and it's going to be like on some really trivial shit that's not central to the point being made, but then he's going to reinforce the main point, and basically the concessions are meaningless, and the reinforcement is the most important part. But all right, let's go.
Because I can't say repeatedly that I will always go out of my way to correct mistakes and then actually not do that when they become obvious to me. But before we get into that, thank you to everybody who supports the channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/Joel.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
So there are three main things that I was wrong about in that video that I want to highlight for you guys in this video. There's also one clarification, because even though I don't think it was that difficult to understand my issue, for some reason it's not clear enough for people who probably are operating in bad faith out there in the audience. And the
Nice.
So he is, by the way, the position is we're operating in bad faith, obviously. But just to be clear, he is accusing us of interpreting him in bad faith, and that his ultimate position is extremely clear. But so that the only reason it needs to be clarified is because of bad faith actors. Mm-hmm. What you'll find is his ultimate position is incomprehensible and totally unclear even after the video.
Okay.
These go as follows. There's one that I was just dead wrong about and inaccurate and not even close. Terrible thing to put in the video. And in fact, I will try to remove that from the previous video. Don't know if that edit will be done by the time that you guys are seeing this video. There's something that I just misspoke on. It's a dumb flub, but I will also correct that. And the third one is something that honestly, I shouldn't have even had in the video in the first place. I was annoyed while I shot / while I edited, and it was me assuming bad faith, which is something that I don't normally do, and it was a bad move on my part. So yeah, we're gonna correct them from the worst to, I guess, the least relevant. So the first one right off the top has to do with District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the cases that were not brought up against him, and the two prosecutors resigning because they felt like Alvin Bragg should have went forward with those cases, but Bragg didn't go forward with those cases. That is just not the case. Now, I do believe, and I
Just as a quick thing, I think I corrected him on this in the debate.
I did. I corrected him. You might have as well, but I certainly reminded him of this prior to his clarification video.
Okay.
And for those of you who aren't apprised of what's going on, the two prosecutors who quit from Alvin Bragg's team, they were mad that they didn't charge the asset valuation case. That case became, or the facts of those cases became a civil case from Letitia James later on, but they never charged it, and they were mad about that. And he said that that's evidence of political corruption, because what had happened was that Alvin Bragg's team quit because he wasn't going to charge it, and then he
Picked them up again magically after Trump said he was going to run for election. Yeah.
The exact same case, and that shows only for political bias. Now, note, first of all, even if it were true that it were the exact same case, it doesn't necessarily follow that it's still corrupt, and you'd have to prove the inference that maybe there's additional evidence is the worst inference as opposed to they're doing it for political reasons. Also, everyone in their cat knew that Donald Trump was going to run again. So even if you were aware of all those, or you weren't aware of those facts, like genuinely, or even if the facts were as he stated, it still doesn't prove the point, or doesn't lead to, I think, the good conclusion that it was political.
Yeah.
But yes, and we reminded him of it prior to posting his clarification video. And so he posted a clarification video which repeated the lie that Alvin Bragg declined one case and then charged it like once again, even after being put on notice. And so that's a bad mistake, and it goes to his process, which is ultimately flawed.
Yeah. So he was corrected on this at least twice before, but yeah. The one thing that I don't know how to express this. I do. Fuck. This should be, I'm sorry. If you don't understand this, it's fucking off. You're retarded, okay? There are certain facts that people can get wrong that are like, okay, I can understand that. And then there are facts that people can get wrong, and it's like, hold on. The fact that you don't understand this demonstrates a severe lack of understanding of something going on here, right?
Yep.
So, like, an example might be maybe you think like Nagasaki, was bombed before. Holy shit! Hiroshima was bombed first, right? Okay. I'm just making sure because I was about to say, am I about to?
Wait, didn't you watch Oppenheimer?
Yeah, what a horrible movie. But yeah, maybe you think like Nagasaki was bombed before Hiroshima, okay? And you're discussing like the impact of the bombs in World War II or whatever. If you flub this fact, or if you don't know this, I'm not sure how consequential that is to your total understanding. Yeah, that's whatever.
But if your case relies on Hiroshima being bombed after Nagasaki, if your case is all about the chronology there,
Sure.
how can you not know that, right?
Yeah. Or if you're saying something along the lines of like, say you're saying something along the lines of like, I think Hitler was killed. I think Hitler got killed at the end of World War I, right? And it's like, okay, we're off by like 10 or 20 years, but it's like the fact that you're or you're off by like 20, 30 years, but the fact that you have this out of place, that's very, very, very confusing, right? Because Hitler was a pretty important figure for World War II. Like not knowing this is questionable, right? The issue here isn't so much that, he might be wrong about why two prosecutors quit. In the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, I didn't even know initially why they quit. And, somebody might be under a misunderstanding for why they quit. It's the fact that the case was that Alvin Bragg or Letitia James is corrupt. And I don't know if it's Alvin now or Letitia that's more corrupt, because so much that was initially attributed to Alvin, we've now found was actually Letitia. But like, it's so corrupt. And here's all the pieces of evidence that I have to know this to be the case. Well, now when some of those things, the facts are incorrect in a way that completely changes your understanding of the underlying fact, that's significant, right? So all this to say that sometimes people can get major facts wrong that don't matter that much, and sometimes people can get minor facts wrong that are incredibly important just because of the type of case that they're building towards. And this is a thing where I don't understand how you can be incorrect about this when you were using this to build towards your other case. It shows that something has gone very wrong in the process.
And the explanation, this is just another foreshadow, I'm not spoiling. The explanation, so you have one conception of what his mistake was here. That conception is wrong. He's about to explain the nature of how I made this mistake, and it makes it so much worse. But just play.
Okay.
But Bragg didn't go forward with those cases. That is just not the case. Now, I do believe, and I have presented evidence for the fact that Alvin Bragg did charge Trump for political reasons. We had two prosecutors resign from Bragg's office because they believed that he was dropping the case after he took office, because again, it was just a campaign thing for him, and they were really angry about it. But then Bragg brings back the case up again after it is clear that Donald Trump is running for president in 2024. And I completely flubbed this. I got it completely wrong. It was an error. It was an unforced error too, because I had time to look up what I was saying instead of going based on what I thought I saw in the live stream when I looked it up on the spot. But that's not an excuse. In fact, it kind of makes it worse. So when I was talking about Alvin Bragg in my previous video, I was talking about two prosecutors resigning in anger because they felt that Alvin Bragg dropped those cases. And I referred to this case as a case that was the one that he ultimately ended up bringing, or similar enough to the one that he was ultimately end up bringing. And I was wrong, inaccurate, not even close. Thanks for playing. You just lost all your money at this casino. So what ended up happening was I conflated a couple of different things surrounding the Bragg case, because if you guys will remember, what Trump ultimately ended up...
I hope to God he's not going to bring up more stuff that's just fucking dead wrong, but we'll see. Okay, 254, sorry.
Did a couple of different things surrounding the Bragg case, because if you guys will remember, what Trump ultimately ended up being charged with was a falsification of business records that they had to use a weird, obscure New York statute in order to enhance. Now, the reason they used that weird statute to enhance two felony charges, which by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired.
Okay, I want to pause for a second here.
Yeah.
Especially given that AJW is a content creator, and especially given that he uses his background in criminal justice in college as a matter of expertise, as a way to credential himself, it's not enough to say that charges are weird. You need to expand on that, because there might be a weird way that you do or charge something, but there might be a really good reason why. And if he feels like the way that misdemeanor statute of limitations was upgraded, if he feels like that is improper, it shouldn't be that way, he should address the substance of that. Because when you hear that as a viewer, a layman would think, oh, okay, well, wow. So it sounds like they took a bullshit law and they made it so that they could just magically charge Trump with a crime that he shouldn't even be charged with, okay?
Yeah.
But that's not really the case. And I think that you can probably make a strong argument that one crime could be augmented with another crime. That if you're doing two crimes in conjunction, that there are different things that can, to some extent, you can argue there are like aggravating factors.
Burglary,
Yeah.
burglary is break and enter with intent to commit a crime therein.
Mm-hmm.
Felony murder. You have to have a predicate crime. RICO statutes, RICO crime. These kinds of mapping onto crimes, it happens all the time in criminal law.
Yeah. So the idea that it's weird and they don't normally do it and it's very strange. Well, like I could very easily imagine, and I don't know the laws in depth here, so but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. I could imagine it being the case that like if somebody commits a bookkeeping error for good reason, like there's like a 1 to 2 year whatever statute of limitation on it, because I mean it's a bookkeeping error, who cares, whatever. But if that bookkeeping error was done to conceal another crime, well, that's a different type of bookkeeping error. We're doing something worse, even though arguably it's the same crime. I could understand why you might especially if it's in the commission of a felony or a more serious crime. I could understand why you might want to be able to reach back a little bit further and have a longer statute. That on its face makes sense to me. If it doesn't, you need to give a good or a compelling argument for why the substance of this type of charge is wrong and should never happen. Like as a matter of like just like a rule that should never be the case here. Just saying that it's weird and novel. I mean, you brought up RICO charges. RICO was novel when it was brought up, literally. I mean, like you need a better argument. They're just like, well, it's weird and new and novel. That's not enough.
3 points to that. Number one, I think that you're correct that he doesn't even get out of the gate in trying to prove the case that like the fact that something is unusual means that it's wrong or that it's improper or that it shows corruption. Something could be unusual because it just doesn't come up a lot, the factual pattern. This case, yes, he's referencing a specific statute which criminalizes in New York promoting a candidate through unlawful means. That was the crime that was used to upgrade the
Bookkeeping?
falsification of business records crime. So the falsification of records was for the purpose of promoting a campaign, a political candidate using unlawful means. And the unlawful means used were one of 3 different theories: a campaign finance violation, tax crimes, and other business records violations. So that's it is an unusual thing to charge using like that specific election law, but it's also an unusual set of circumstances. And so you're going to need to prove that it was done for political reasons. That's number one. Number two, Stephen, you're completely correct in like how you're looking at this right now. He's about to rock your world though, because there's a more fundamental factual error with what he's doing here. And it's actually shocking that he made this error. To me, and you have to go back 10 seconds, and you have to. I'm going to see if you can get it. And I guess I'll leave it there. I'll let you do that right now. And
Okay.
Actually, one more thing.
Yeah.
The unusualness thing will come up later because that's the last thing he has, because he still maintains that this is a political prosecution. The only thing he's going to have is the unusualness. So that's going to come up later. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh boy. All right. I'm trying my hardest.
New York statute in order to enhance. Now, the reason they used that weird statute to enhance 2 felony charges, which by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious.
Okay. Are we through it?
You should be able to identify now the incredible error.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, there's 2 things that I'm thinking. One is that he referred to the other things as felony charges. My guess is going to be the statute of limitations on any felony is going to be more than a year or whatever. So is that it, or is it something different?
No, that's not.
Okay, that was one. The second thing, more fundamental. I feel like this is more abstract. The second thing is he mentioned.
Yeah.
The second thing is he mentioned that this is contrary to a pattern of behavior in other cases.
Yeah,
but this is like a weird
thing we were saying of the unique.
Yeah, this is a weird thing. Okay, wait, hold on, I'm missing something. Okay, hold on, let me listen one more time. Wait.
Yeah,
it was
and actually play through where you were. Play through a little past where you were.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Weird, obscure New York statute in order to enhance. Now, the reason they used that weird statute to enhance 2 felony charges, which by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious. I will look it up and put it on the screen, and it might directly contradict what I'm saying. And that's what I thought they were angry about, is that they let the campaign finance portion of it expire, and then Bragg took up a case based on the similar set of facts, and that's what he ultimately ended up charging Trump with. It's
okay if you don't get it.
Wait,
but
well, you said it was fundamental, and I found it retarded. Hold on, wait. There was good reason to think that the key moment in the Senator's New York Citizen making might not have been in 2019, but in 2021 and over. It's the 2019 letter wasn't an answer. Base of his own reporting. The office wound down its work. Never from the clear tribe. Original left office turned to 20. Bring charges out from the president. The 5-year statute of limitations on campaign finance had not yet expired, so prosecution remained an option. Does it have to do with the fact that the statute of limitations for this particular crime hadn't expired yet?
No.
Does it have to do with the fact okay, one more guess.
Yeah.
Is it retarded to talk about how this case might be political when we're talking about like political contribution or political
No.
Okay, well, fuck you. Fine.
I'll tell you
What
what
is
it
it?
is.
Yeah,
All
tell
right,
me.
ready?
Yeah.
The campaign finance charge is a federal charge by the Department of Justice.
Okay.
And so in order for him to say, I thought what was happening was they were mad about the extension of the statute of limitations for the underlying campaign finance charge, he needs to think that it was possible at all for Alvin Bragg to bring federal campaign finance related charges to Trump. In other words, he needs to not understand the basic separation of jurisdiction that federal prosecutors are the ones who bring federal campaign related charges. And so he had to think that what they were trying to push for in 2022 was federal campaign finance related charges, which means he's
just as a quick thing, wasn't his issue wasn't the federal charges, it's that the state charges were only made possible by utilizing the federal charges, right?
No, but hang on. He's counting on the 5-year statute of limitations related to campaign finance offenses. Campaign finance offenses that the DOJ is the only one who can bring, right? Alvin Bragg cannot bring campaign finance charges. He can bring the business records crime that maps onto campaign finance, but he can't bring the campaign finance itself, which means he totally is like thinking that it's even possible for Bragg to have brought those charges.
Hold on. I'm sorry. You're on a much lower level of credit. I understand. Hold on. You're assuming that his statement, or you might be right even this, I didn't even consider this. You're saying that that a lot of the conservatives are thinking that the other charges were brought just to make this case possible, rather than this case was using some novel legal theory. So you're saying that the implication from a lot of Trumples is that somehow Alvin Bragg brought federal charges in order to also bring the state charges, and that would be obviously stupid and impossible?
No, that he is mistaken, right? So he's saying that in 2002, these prosecutors quit because the 5-year statute of limitations on the federal campaign finance offenses had expired, and that they were pissed about that. So number one, he's thinking that it's even possible for Bragg to have brought federal charges against Donald Trump. You understand that, right? So Bragg cannot bring federal campaign finance charges against Trump. Agreed?
Yeah. Wait, so did he just think that the two prosecutors that quit over the federal case? Is that what he thinks?
Over the federal case that they don't even have jurisdiction over.
Oh.
Right. So that's number one, right? Like that you would think that they're pissed about a federal case. And number two, it means you didn't look at all into
any of
what
the stuff
the two prosecutors said. If you could even make the mistake that the statute of limitations issue, remember, there is a statute of limitations issue, and you identified it actually before without thinking. The statute of limitations issue was the business record statute of limitations.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
correct.
what you were talking about.
Yeah.
He is mapping on the federal campaign finance statute of limitations. He's completely missing the statute of limitations quote unquote argument, which has nothing to do with the federal charges, and what the people who quit had nothing to do with federal charges that they could never have brought, which means you didn't even do the basic amount of research to A, understand the different spheres of jurisdiction here, and B, that the statute of limitations argument has nothing to do with the federal campaign finance violations.
Sure. I wouldn't even
so
imagine,
fundamental.
because that's really stupid. But let me rewatch this. And yeah.
Falsification of business records, that they had to use a weird, obscure New York statute in order to enhance. Now, the reason they used that weird statute to enhance 2 felony charges, which, by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious. I will look it up and put it on the screen, and it might directly contradict what I'm saying. And that's what I thought they were angry about.
Okay, hold on. I can give him one save with some very random esoteric knowledge, maybe that I might have, because I think I read this one time, but it might not be true. But actually, this is way too charitable.
Give it. And there's another problem as well, but go ahead.
I was going to say, I think in New York State, they do have some laws about campaign finance. Even though this is generally the purview of federal stuff, I think there might be some New York State. But it wouldn't map onto what was being talked about, or what was like the
what's being talked about, because the failure to disclose this article relates to federal statute of limitations, right?
Yeah, sure.
He's
Yeah.
not
No, yeah, this
citing-
is dumb. Yeah, this is stupid. Yeah.
And there's another problem here too,
Yeah.
which is the unlawful means theory of the Bragg case wasn't just campaign finance. There's the tax violation and the other business records violation.
Sure.
And so it also shows a lack of understanding of the Bragg case that ended up being charged.
Yeah,
Which
sure.
had to do with campaign finance, but not only campaign finance.
Yeah. Hold on. 1 second. Let me just watch this again real quick too.
felony charges, which, by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious. I will look it up and put it on the screen, and it might directly contradict what I'm saying. And that's what I thought they were angry about, is that they let the campaign finance portion of it expire, and then Bragg took up a case.
Oh, this is bad because the evidence of the campaign one is, so I can understand why, like SDNY, that looks like the state of New York. Yeah, maybe that looks like New York State or whatever, but it's the Southern District of New York, which is referring to federal court, and these are all of this is federal.
Federal prosecutors.
All of this is federal. Yeah. Oh no, and this is the evidence that he put up. So okay, so sorry, hold on. So winding way the fuck down, or bring this way back. Sean is saying that I fucked up last time. I actually thought that Alvin Bragg, who was the guy who basically decides to charge people with crimes in the state of New York, 2 of his prosecutors under him, they quit because they were upset that Alvin Bragg didn't go forward with these charges that he's got on screen. But the problem is that this isn't in the purview of Alvin Bragg. This was in the purview of, I don't even know who was the AG at the time. It was the DOJ. These are
Barr,
federal, Barr or whoever the fuck was AG at the time. These are federal charges. This has nothing to do with Alvin Bragg, which again means, so again, this is what we're talking about. This is what I was talking about before. Like, if you think that like the reason why, the reason why the Greeks lost the war was because of the nukes in Japan, it's like, what do we do? Like, how could you ever possibly come to the thought that 2 prosecutors are quitting because they're unhappy that Bragg, isn't bringing federal charges to Donald Trump? It doesn't make any sense. There's no origination for any of this. You could have never had this idea come up. It's not possible.
How did that idea come to your head? Now, here's a plausible reason why I think that could have come in his head.
Okay.
'Cause he saw some people on Twitter saying statute of limitations stuff.
Correct.
And statute of limitations. I Googled statute of limitations and campaign finance, and I just assume that's why they're angry. But that requires you not to have read like the op-eds about this, the massive reporting about these 2 prosecutors. Like, they had a book about it, or even read the Wikipedia about it. And so you didn't even do the due diligence under with respect to the legal theories, either the case that never was and the case that was, because that was also not premised on campaign finance. And you didn't do the due diligence to read and understand and comprehend the statements of the 2 prosecutors. And the different spheres of jurisdiction.
And
it's crazy.
more precisely, what's happening is he heard a thing and now he's like frantically Googling around for evidence to support that idea, rather than like,
that's the bad faith example, which is he now is looking for anything to try to
which is
explain
what's
why
happening.
he made the mistake.
Rather than if you're wrong about something, you should probably go back to the drawing board. It's like, okay, hold on, fuck. Okay, well, top to bottom, hold on. What do I understand about this? What's going on? Where's the disconnect? As opposed to like, okay, fuck. It seems like this is totally wrong. Hold on. Maybe I can find a quote, or maybe I can find an article or a tweet or something to show that I was right about this the whole time. And it's like, well, hold on. Like, there's another good reason how I said before, as you read more about stuff and you get a broader understanding of things, sometimes it's easy to back up, or it's difficult to remember this, but you can back up and ask yourself, okay, what am I actually saying, or what am I actually looking into, or what am I researching right now? What's going on? Well, the claim is that 2 New York prosecutors, New York State prosecutors, are quitting a New York State district attorney, or New York City district attorney, a DA. They're quitting his office because they're mad that this guy wouldn't bring charges in front of a grand jury. So what are we talking about here? Okay, well, these are federal charges, so this can't be the case, right? The Southern District, this would never apply to him. Yeah, that's the issue. Wow. Okay.
Wait. And there's an even worse thing if you want to assume bad intent.
Okay.
In the debate you guys had, he stressed the difference that this was not DOJ. Remember, he's like, these are local, not DOJ. And so he says that a lot. Debate, was like, we're not talking about DOJ, and no one ever here said that it was about Garland or the DOJ. We're talking about local prosecutors. And so he seemingly has a comprehension of the difference between local and federal. And in this video that he just released, he's not mentioning that in trying to explain why he made this massive error, even though this is purportedly the reason why he made the mistake. And so it's a bad mistake. And I think that his failure either to recognize it or to explain it, it must mean that he's either still doesn't have a comprehension about what's going on, or he's lying to himself or others about why he made that mistake.
Yeah. And is even reading what's going on here, like, I don't even know if he read this because none of this even, like, former Southern District of New York prosecutor Eli Honig, suggests on the basis of his own reporting that the office wound down its work in 2019 in light of the OLC memo, right? That's the Office of Legal Counsel, again, DOJ, but never formally cleared Trump after Trump left office January 21, according to Honig, the Southern District of New York, federal court, federal prosecutor, reconsidered whether or to bring charges against the now former president. The 5-year statute of limitations have not expired. If you even read what's being posted here, it's disproving
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and it's sad because he's literally saying it sure would be funny if I got this wrong, but wow, okay.
What he needed to bring up with the statute of limitations issues related to the business records, that would have been more. It still would have been a bad mistake, but it would have at least been topical to what we're talking about here.
Sure. Yeah. Whew, okay, well.
That I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious. I will look it up and put it on the screen, and it might directly contradict what I'm saying. And that's what I thought they were angry about, is that they let the campaign finance portion of it expire. And then Bragg took up a case based on the similar set of facts, and that's what he ultimately ended up charging Trump with. It turns out that is not the case. These two prosecutors resigned over a different investigation into the Trump organization, and they said that Bragg was dropping it because of legal reasons, and then Bragg came out after the fact, and he gave a statement. He's like, no, it's still on legal reasons into the Trump organization, and they said that Bragg was dropping it because of legal reasons, and then Bragg came out after the fact, and he gave a statement. He's like, no, it's still ongoing, and I guess this might have been the one point where I was confused on.
Stop, hold on. Why not explain what actually fucking happened? Just say what happened. Explain it. I hate that he always just, like, when they summarize, he's like, political, like, what were they mad about, right? But
yeah, I don't even think he still understands it. Like, it's the asset valuation case, the case that was never charged. We're talking about charging, okay? And it was never charged. And so it totally undermines your theory. That was the first thing you said when you're like, I still think it's a political prosecution because of X. And now that's been disproved, and you still think it's a political prosecution because
and the two prosecutors that quit wanted Bragg to be more aggressive. My understanding is they quit because they were unhappy that Bragg decided to stop going to the grand jury. Yeah, because he felt like he didn't have enough for an indictment in front of a grand jury. So they quit for the opposite reason you would expect Sean is saying. Like, and I think you can still, if you're a layman listening to this, I think you still come away with the impression that these two prosecutors quit because they really wanted to do the right thing, but Bragg was so hell-bent on prosecuting Trump that, you know, they couldn't stand by in good conscience. That's the story that he's selling. That's exactly the opposite, right?
He doesn't bring up the other point, which is like, he could have said something like, I don't agree with it, but you could make the argument that this is good evidence for Bragg because it shows that he wasn't just willing to charge over anything. Yeah. But he doesn't even make that. He could say, I don't agree with this, but he doesn't even present that. Not only does this mean that he messed up about something, it's actually evidence to the contrary, but he doesn't even say that.
Yep.
No, it's still ongoing, and I guess this might have been the one point where I was confused on, because if he said it was still ongoing and that they were looking into it and he just needed more time, then possibly that's why I believed that that case in particular was brought back up again. But to be clear, those are not the same cases.
Pause just real quick. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I don't even know what he just. I have no idea what it is. Because the story that he's selling isn't even the same here as like the narrative that Woody. Yeah, just nothing. It's a gook of nothing.
For those of you who don't understand, he's saying here, on the one hand, he thought that Bragg dropped the case, but now he's speaking as though he understood that Bragg had made a statement in April claiming that the investigation was ongoing. And so how can you say that I believe the case was ended, but I also at the time knew that Bragg made a statement saying that the investigation was still continuing, and I thought that meant the same case? It doesn't make any sense. He's like, he's trying to have it both ways. Yeah. The explanation is both that I knew that he made that statement, but I actually thought that they dropped it. And so I actually don't even understand what his official story is at this point.
You can't give, this is a thing you catch liars, is when they give evidence for a thing and then you disprove another thing, but you don't realize that like the evidence that you're giving, like you're completely fucking your story over, because now it's obvious that you're lying, right? If somebody says like, oh, did you go to Applebee's last night? And you're like, oh yeah, like I know that I went to Applebee's, and I remember because when we were at Frank's house, I had fucking barbecue sauce all over my shirt. And then later on, you find out, wait, hold on, that barbecue sauce on the shirt, that wasn't barbecue sauce, right? You didn't like that was actually like you got a tooth bleed or a nosebleed, and it was like, oh yeah, it was a nosebleed. You're right, it was. Well, hold on. It doesn't matter that you just lagged, or that you, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter that you lied about why your shirt was dirty. You use that as evidence for how you knew for a fact that you'd gone to eat before. So what the fuck? How are you telling me now that what you used as evidence for another thing was actually the total opposite, well, then why do you even believe the other thing? What the fuck? What's happening right
and
now?
then it means if you believe him there, that he always knew the investigation was ongoing.
Yeah.
And so if
so
that
then
was
it
the
didn't
case,
stop and start for
it never
political.
stopped.
Yeah.
It
So
started.
what evidence did we ever have of this? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay.
Just completely wrong on my part. I messed up. No excuses for it. My bad. Inaccurate. Incorrect. Not even close. Again, shame me in the comments because I deserve it. And my reasoning, my rationale, and all of that, while it might make some logical sense, like that I would jump to those conclusions, the whole point of this channel is go read the documents. Don't jump to those conclusions.
That
Stop.
insults my intelligence.
Yeah, so the issue here is he's doing a boogie. So when I was arguing with Boogie, what I told you guys is like liars and manipulators, when you back them into a super hardcore corner, they will eventually admit to lying, but never about the big stuff. Only about small stuff, and sometimes they'll even use the admission of the smaller lies to even reinforce the larger point. And this is kind of what's happening here, where he's admitting that he was wrong about some stuff. No, it doesn't matter that you were wrong about the little facts. You're wrong holistically about the entire narrative that Bragg is politically partisan. You're wrong about that entire. But notice how even as he's admitting these little lies, like, oh, well, I see why I thought this, because obviously they did quit. And Bragg, I guess, put out some statement saying it wasn't politics, blah, blah, blah. He's still holding on to the major lie. The admission here, the concession here is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. The story hasn't changed at all, right?
It really hasn't. And it's him trying to paint the story as though it makes sense that he would make that mistake. It would make sense.
Exactly.
That he
Yeah.
would, it doesn't make sense. If you were reading the stories or uncovering the documents, like you said, you would have read the statements that were clear about what case this was. You would have done some research. It's clear in the Wikipedia article. It's clear
Exactly.
in the New York Times reporting. Like the most basic amount of due diligence would let you understand that. And so it insults my intelligence to think that. And there are many cases like this, and this is one that I keep bringing up because it's a pattern. I don't know if you recall. I don't know if you heard me say this before, but you've had multiple debates with him.
Yeah, he does this a lot.
Where
he's aware of one fact that's like surrounded by two other facts, and it's like, what the fuck? What? How? What?
Yeah. So one time you guys were talking about where the election was stolen, and he brought up the fact that the Act 77 of Pennsylvania, which extended universal mail-in voting, was ruled unconstitutional by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. That's wrong, right? There was a lower court that said it was unconstitutional, a trial court with like some right-leaning judge there, but he didn't actually issue an injunction. It just was appealed. It was appealed quickly to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court that said, no, this is totally constitutional. But this is, if you knew anything about the Act 77 case, you would know that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court didn't say it was unconstitutional. It said the opposite, that it was constitutional. And it goes to that situation where, and here's an example I brought up on my stream the other day. Suppose that someone came up to you and was like, yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse, he's a murderer. And the reason I know he's a murderer is because he actually was the first one to raise his gun and he threatened Rosenbaum before. Rosenbaum threw a bottle with nothing in it, but Rosenbaum was hearing words from Rittenhouse that, I want to kill you because you're a cop hater. And then before there was a statement that Rittenhouse made the very same day that he was wanting to provoke someone into attacking them. So you understand what I just did there, right? I'm weaving in some true facts, right?
Yeah.
There is kind of a statement from Rittenhouse, but it's not exactly the same statement. It was like a week before at like a different place. There was like a bag with nothing in it. But I understand the details, but I'm using so most people in a comment, if I were to say that on a Destiny video, would say you are lying. They would say you are lying, not just because I'm wrong, but because I'm able to recall and rely on little specifics and narrow facts that would seem to indicate that I know something about what's going on. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That example.
No. Yeah. No, it does. 100%. It's like if you've ever been told by parents like you're not allowed to watch a movie, and then you're in a conversation, you accidentally let it slip, like some scene from the movie, and they're like, wait a second, you weren't allowed to, and you're like, oh, when I was at my friends, we only watched that part because I know that the rest has stuff I'm not allowed to watch. So I just saw that one part of it, and it's like, no, you didn't, motherfucker. We know you watched the whole fucking movie. Now you got caught because you fucked up. Yeah. It's like you can't. There's no way you would know a handful of these. But. Okay.
So, yeah, that's just not good on my part. Now, the next thing I want to correct, and by the way, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this type of error on my channel, is me misspeaking. And this has to do with the fact that I said you need probable cause to start an investigation, which I believe I actually said twice in that video. So right here I'm talking about a prosecutor looking into somebody in order to find evidence of a crime, rather than you having probable cause to start an investigation. I should have just said
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. I already know what he's going to say, and I already know it's fucking retarded. He's going to pretend like the issue hold on. Firstly, I'm sorry if I misrepresented my main issue, because I did harp on him for doing the probable cause thing here, which was funny, because a probable cause is what you hope to find in an investigation rather than what starts an investigation. But the main issue, again, isn't really, because my guess is for the next 30 seconds, he can say, it wasn't actually probable cause. I should have said reasonable suspicion. That doesn't matter. We're not talking about the standard. We're talking about you saying that they had absolutely nothing and went on a fishing expedition to invent charges out of nowhere, implying, at the least, highly unethical behavior, and at the most, improper, illegal behavior, where they were getting subpoenas that they never had the business having, or, issuing warrants that they should have never been able to get warrants for. That's what really we're talking about. He's about to just quibble over, I should have said reasonable suspicion instead of probable cause. That's what, but...
And also, by the way, it's not reasonable. Like, it's lower. The standard to, like, starting an investigation is dirt. It's basically non-existent.
Probably,
it's whatever the government wants
reasonable
to do.
suspicion is
Like,
probably to detain somebody, my guess, right?
Yeah. And like, you look at the DOJ, the Attorney General guidelines, at least for the DOJ, and most jurisdictions will be like this. They won't be exactly the same. There'll be some differences. But like, if someone put in an anonymous call that said, hey, this guy Rick he's doing some bad things, and hangs up. Yeah, the DOJ could open an investigation into that, maybe a preliminary inquiry into it, even though, like, that would not be enough to detain someone, right? If an anonymous call who you don't know is saying something, that wouldn't be a standard for probable cause. It's dirt low to start an investigation, of course, because it should be. We shouldn't have to, like, the whole point of having cops is to
actually, you can actually just think about it. A cop can walk up to you, assuming you're not in a stop and ID state. A cop can walk up to you and begin an investigation. Now, you might not even have to stay. You could say, like, am I being detained right now? He's like, oh, no, you're not. But he's investigating.
When he's asking, or sussy, right?
Yeah, when he's asking you questions, he's looking around. This is an investigation, and any evidence that he gathers here could be used in the furtherance of detaining you or arresting you or charging you or convicting you. Like, yeah, the idea that you need to meet some whatever threshold or standard, like, on its face, it doesn't make sense. Like,
and it gets to what you were saying before, which is there's a broader underlying argument here that it's not just a misspeak. Like Dan said, it's not a misspeak. First of all, misspeaking is like messing up a word. It's an inaccurate statement. And the reason why it matters is it's part of his narrative that Alvin Bragg and Letitia James are corrupt, is that you need to have at least some sort of significant threshold before you even start an investigation.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't reach that, like, somewhat significant threshold means it was obviously corrupt. So he's not addressing that was one of the facets of his argument, right?
Yeah, and we're also going over the whole fact of the matter that there was so much publicly already out about these people. There were already so many about Trump. There was already federal investigations, right? The Cohen stuff, I think, was already all out there. And there was already, I think, a dozen or so investigations open on Trump before Letitia James even took office. By the prior
New York Attorney General,
yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah. So it's all of this is pointless. None of this is a misspeak. It's not about a misspeak. Right? This is not about a misspeak at all.
And the last thing on this point, it's such a bad mistake, such an obvious thing to say, like, probable cause, you need to start an investigation. Like, that's just something that you should pick up on the editing floor. And I get that you can make the mistake, but it's like time and time again, this is a basic concept that everyone who watches JCS knows, right? Like, you need to get probable cause. They're bringing someone into the station to get the probable cause to arrest them, let's say, or they're arresting someone and they're analyzing whether there's probable cause in that instance. Obviously, there's an investigation before then. And so, like, it's such a basic mistake that it calls into question both the editing and the process by which he informs himself of things.
Yeah. And ordinarily, like, and again, I wouldn't care, except he does credential himself a lot. He's actual justice warrior, and he talks about his, like, educational background and everything. Like, this is a thing that he brings up. So, I mean, it's like, it's going to be attacked now, Yeah, as it should be, Hold on, wait. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah. Is he pooping? You guys can still hear me, right? How you doing? Any questions? AMA.
No, not today, bitch. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
You need cause to start an investigation, something to initiate investigation. I should have just said you need cause to start an investigation, something to initiate the inquiry, but instead I used a technical legal term that fits the standard for a search warrant, for a search of a vehicle, and for an arrest. This is not smart. This is a not good speak And yeah, you now have probable cause.
Again, yeah. So again, this is admitting to an error that it doesn't really matter that much. If somebody mixes this up, who the fuck cares? It's not the end of the world. It doesn't even matter that much. It's the fact that remember the big implication, we already said this, right? Is that they were on a fishing expedition with no good reason at all to start an investigation.
Yeah. And if the standard is very, very low, then you could say, well, you meet that standard by there being these outstanding investigations and this kind of public reporting on stuff, as opposed to if the standard is higher, maybe that's not enough. And maybe you think that it's all corrupt because you think the standard is super high.
Sure.
And probable cause, when people say that, it is a lower threshold. Maybe you call it 30%, 35%, but it has teeth. And there are cases that are dismissed in preliminary hearings or, arrests that are deemed unconstitutional because you don't meet that threshold. So it does have some teeth.
Okay.
You now have probable cause to make fun of me for that in the comments of this video. I grant it to you. And the third thing is an unforced error. And that unforced error was me saying that Destiny put up and pulled down the screenshot really fast. He couldn't get that screenshot off his screen fast enough because he knew it completely refuted, disputed, and destroyed his entire baseless line of attack against me. Again, like all great errors, I had the amazing gumption to do this 2 times.
Hold on, sorry. Could you give an example of what he could say in an apology video that would be a more honest attempt at making a good faith apology? Well, first, this is not an apology video. This is a virtue-seeking video. He's not genuinely sorry about any of the things that he sincerely fucked up on. This is a meme to save face, where he corrects a few basic mistakes that didn't really actually matter at all, and you never address the actual issue for why you're incorrect. So there is no good apology video that he could make because he doesn't feel bad. He didn't actually fuck his main point up in his mind, or at least that's the idea that he's trying to sell. Like,
the main point is that Bragg is corrupt and it's all political.
Correct. But as of this point now, we've gone through like so much of this weird shit. Now I don't know what to spend the last 10 minutes on, but so far he has nothing. He has presented nothing compelling for that, or for Letitia also. He's presented absolutely nothing compelling on any of this right now. So that's the main issue, but he would never apologize for it because he doesn't believe that. But okay.
In the video. Twice I made this mistake, and what the mistake is, if you guys don't know, is that unlike me, Steven doesn't edit his own videos. So this was not the live stream version of it, which I was not watching. This was actually the edited version of that, so his editor put this up on the screen, and again, I should have just left this out. I was annoyed, so I was like, you know what? You're doing all this crap to call me bad faith. Then here's a point where I think you're bad faith, and again...
Again, a quick thing. The reason why this is so stupid is because, one, even if I had brought that up on stream, even if I had done that,
yep.
Why would I show it in the YouTube video? Why would I bring it up on screen at all? Unless you sincerely think I'm streaming with one monitor, right? Why would I even show it? And it wasn't like instantaneous. It was like 4 or 5 seconds on the screen. It wasn't like I flashed it for 2 frames, okay? Like I'm trying to subliminally mindfuck you like it's some fucking horror movie, right? It was on screen for like 4 or 5 seconds. Like, none of this is like in good faith. Even if that wasn't a YouTube edit, the comment is still fucking stupid. So,
do you remember the Mike from PA situation where he was like, my retweet even has... and then he scrolls back up. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know exactly. That was an example of bad.
So map that on.
Oh, and I read it out loud. True, I did. I read it out loud. Yes,
you read it for sure.
Yeah,
you read it out loud. But like, differentiate the Mike from PA where he is doing that and you in that situation.
Yeah, it's stupid.
No. Can you differentiate?
Can I differentiate it? Yeah. Well, Mike is doing it live. He starts to read. He clearly notices something that contradicts his position. And he kind of laughs over it. Then he does scroll off and he stops reading and he goes away from it. Right. Whereas I brought it up on stream. I didn't need to bring it up at all. And it didn't contradict any part of my argument whatsoever. It didn't destroy anything at all. And I read the fucking thing off on screen. Yeah, but there's something else.
Finally, and he said he's only doing this because he was just mad and annoyed and so bad faith. That seems to imply that like when you are like annoyed, you either will do reckless things or that you did this kind of with some sort of state of mind that you wouldn't have done this normally, or that like, do you understand what I'm saying? Where like your views about whether or not your interlocutor is being good faith is affecting significantly your deliberative process on whether to even include things. And that, I think, is another kind of mark against, well, is what you're doing deeply, deeply personal, or is it what you're doing deeply analytical? Because I think that a person who is trying to do the best things all the time and to stick only to the facts and arguments wouldn't make that mistake and say that it was just because I was annoyed.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like probable cause, guess what? I did it twice. two times. Double down on it, because anytime you decide to leave something in that you are thinking about taking out on the editing room floor, when you normally go out of your way to give people the benefit of the doubt, you got to double down on it, so that way the mistake is even more egregious. But yeah, this was just an assumption by me, an incorrect one, and yeah, error, unforced on my part. And now for the clarification. One of the things that I am being accused of is making up a quote about District Attorney Alvin Bragg going on a fishing expedition.
No, that's not true, and it doesn't matter, and he knows this, okay? He's being accused of claiming that Alvin Bragg and or Letitia James is corrupt, and the cases against Trump are meritless, the ones that he was criminally convicted for in court, that those cases are without merit because they were started on a fishing expedition for no good reason due to political biases. That's what you're being criticized for. Not about the hyper-pedantic specific fucking quote.
Specific quote. Yeah. And by the way, so that's going to happen a lot where he's trying to shift the frame of reference to the specificness of the quote that we're all talking about. There was not a quote. First of all, the exact words don't appear anywhere. And the exact words change between what he's saying. And if you look at the video, it's actually crazy how he gaslights on this.
Yeah.
But also notice that his what his claim is changes. So, and I want you guys to see if you're following, because I'm asking you guys to operate on a level of neural activity that's higher than usual, okay?
Hopefully.
AJW, if you watch closely, will equivocate. When I say equivocate, I mean use word, change the meaning of, or like use words in a shifty way.
Yeah, always.
On what he's saying, right? And there are three ways he frames his position. A fishing expedition. B, they promised to prosecute, and C
is going to be they ran
promised to go after.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and also he kind of equivocates between they ran on versus whether they stated it.
Sure.
And these are all potentially different things, right? A fishing expedition is a promise to investigate and just look.
You're all the way from bad faith, corrupt behavior up to like what you would expect literally everybody running for this position to do. Like
sure, like if all we're talking about is a promise to go after, then I guess Alvin Bragg by just knowing that he's going to assume the investigation that was already ongoing, it is in a sense a promise to quote unquote go after, but that's not a promise to prosecute. Just like a promise to prosecute isn't necessarily a promise to do a fishing expedition. These are different things. They could be bad independently, but you'll see and you'll notice, and you have to have this higher level. Just notice whenever he's trying to characterize his own position, is he saying fishing expedition? Is he saying promise to prosecute? Or is he saying promise to go after?
Yeah, and this is the same thing. Like you should have seen this because we watched Boogie do this. We've seen Lav do this. We've seen Kelly do this. I don't know if she's or not. Where people will constantly, when you accuse them of a thing, they will equivocate endlessly on it until, hold on. They'll equivocate on some things and then they will hyper exaggerate other things. So you might say like, hey, I think you were being an asshole to me. Okay, I think you were being an asshole to me and I don't appreciate that. And then like their characterization of it is like, oh, you think I'm the worst fucking person in the entire fucking planet? So they'll exaggerate that, and they'll go, and maybe you thought that they were an asshole to you because they said that you were a fat fuck who needed to die of diabetes. So on one end, they'll exaggerate. Oh, you think I'm the worst fucking person on the whole planet just because I made a comment about your appearance? So they'll equivocate on their actions. They'll hyper exaggerate your accusation, and when you do this, the worlds have become so far apart that now you auto win like every fucking argument, and it's such an easy way. Yeah, you auto win everything.
And it's really bad because having a higher neural level of activity will help you here, because if you understand what AJW, by focusing on the specific quoteness argument where he's saying that we are accusing him of the fact that a quote exists, that if you focus on that accusation and you step back and say, what is he saying our position is? He thinks our position is no one in the planet anywhere ever said something approaching what he claimed, right? So in order, what he's saying, right, is like if one person somewhere that he heard one time said those specific words, it would disprove our point that we're hyper fixated on the specific quoteness of it as opposed to the attribution of a particular position or quote to Alvin Bragg. Not that anyone in the world said those statements. It's crazy to give us that straw man, and now we have to fight on whether or not we said that no one ever said that as opposed to Bragg never said that. You guys, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And it's the same kind of rationale. It comes from the same place as thinking, as ever even possibly having the thought in your mind that a debate on whether or not democracy is on the ballot means that you're going to debate on whether or not somebody's going to come in office and end every single institution that could even remotely resemble democracy in a way that it could never come back for at least 2 decades. It's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Clarification. One of the things that I am being accused of is making up a quote about District Attorney Alvin Bragg going on a fishing expedition against Donald Trump. Now, to be clear, my position on Alvin Bragg is as follows.
Okay. What is it? Here we go. The position on Alvin Bragg. This is what it is. Yeah, this is what it is. Okay. Hopefully it matches what it was before. What it was before is that Alvin Bragg is a likely corrupt political figure who was prosecuting Donald Trump just because of political reasons. Remember, so much so that he literally dropped the case and only picked it up again because Donald Trump said he was going to run for office. Okay.
And guys, keep in your mind again the difference between fishing expedition and promise to prosecute, promise to charge.
Yep.
And by the way, promise to prosecute means promise to charge. When someone says they're prosecuting me, it means they either are or about to charge you. It doesn't mean investigate. Investigate is very different. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can think of promise to prosecute as promise to charge.
Yeah.
But notice what he's saying and what he says his claim is.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Follows. Yes, he campaigned on prosecuting Trump. 100%.
Campaigning on prosecuting Trump is different than campaigning on a fishing expedition. You understand that, right, folks?
Especially if there are already ongoing cases, especially
exactly.
and even really truly, that statement in and of itself is not a real position. Because that's open to a lot of interpretation. Promise to prosecute.
And also not true. Wait. It also completely not true, given what Bragg said.
Sure.
But just notice real quick, what he's saying and what his position is isn't the fishing expedition thing. He's saying that he made a promise to prosecute, and that could have. I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. If he had said, yeah, there's a case with Cyrus Vance, and I'm promised to charge Trump on that case. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be a fishing expedition, right?
Yeah.
But it would be a promise to prosecute. And that's why it matters, and why, if you're being clear and thoughtful about what his claim is, you'll notice that his current position is not mapping on to at least what he seems to be suggesting the quote was, right? He's saying the quote was the fishing expedition, but my position is that he did promise to prosecute, but not. So keep all those balls juggling as you watch this.
So basically, the macro story is, in the debate, we said it before, Bragg is a sleazy, politically driven, partisan hack fuck who's going on these expeditions to charge Trump with whatever fucking crime he wants. But now, through the vehicle of, well, if you can't find me saying this exact quote about fishing expedition, I think that by the end of this video, his position is going to be, I think that Bragg is just maybe a little bit too politically partisan for my taste, even if he didn't necessarily do anything wrong at all. I feel like that's the direction we're heading, and he's going to pretend like if he can defend that position because he can disprove that he ever said the quote, then it means that he's defended his initial position. Yeah, even though they're totally different. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Donald Trump. Now, to be clear, my position on Alvin Bragg is as follows. Yes, he campaigned on prosecuting Trump. 100%. That was part of the deal. He was
100%.
called out for it by his Democratic primary political opponent, and what I am using as evidence of him campaigning.
It would be nice to see that called out for how.
And it's totally different than he says. But
also, by the way, that we're citing that as evidence, he was called out for it by his primary opponent. Yeah, they were being super critical of him. No shit, it's his fucking primary opponent. Could you imagine if we were saying Donald Trump is clearly corrupt? Look at what Hillary Clinton said about him when they were running against each other. What a crazy look at what Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or Chris Christie or any of the other Republicans. Yeah, crazy comment, but okay.
And also keep in mind, by the way, this is not him. In this part of the video, he's saying he's not wrong about anything.
Yeah,
he's saying he was clear, but he has to clear it up for bad faith actors. Yeah, remember at the start of the video. So he's not saying he's wrong about anything. So just keep that in mind. This entire segment, the rest of the video, is his claim is he was not incorrect about anything. He just needs to clarify.
Yeah.
And what I am using as evidence of him campaigning on going after Trump was the fact that during the election, he would say, I'm the best person to go after Trump because I've had over 100 cases against him. So my previous...
and then again, also, nothing is wrong here. There's nothing bad about that. Saying that you have experience going after... that's so stupid to say that this is But
there was an ongoing criminal investigation that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Everyone knew about this case. And what he's saying is like, listen, I've sued the Trump administration. I've had a civil case with them. I don't know I know these big cases. I'm the man for the job. I know how to do it. And he explicitly says, will follow the facts wherever there are. And there are multiple cases where he'll be interviewed and he'll say, they'll be asked, are you going to charge him? He's going to say, I don't know the facts other than what's publicly reported. We'll have to see where the facts take us.
But
he says that
when he
multiple times.
says that, Sean in his last video said, and he was very smart when he said this, acting like he was speaking tactically, but it wasn't actually mirroring what he truly wanted to do. But then Sean will say uncritically primary opponents to actually characterize what's going on in Alvin Bragg's mind. And remember, Sean is the same type of guy who says, can we really know what's going on in Trump's head? But okay.
Against him. So in my previous video, when I say Cam brought up a quote related to Alvin Bragg that I then tossed it back to him to repeat again, this is what I'm referring to. This part about seeing Trump in court, I thought he had the quote, so I threw it back to him when I was asked for a quote and then proceeded.
This is so bad, and I'm going to explain why. Number one, what you will see when he'll put it up is the quote he just said is Cam said, I'll see you in court. I'll see you in court is not a promise to do a fishing expedition, right?
Sure.
I'll see you in court. And also, it doesn't even make sense, the chronology here. He's saying, Cam was the one who brought it up. I thought Cam had the goods, but also independently, I was thinking of a separate set of quotes by Letitia James, maybe not even one specific one.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking when Cam said that I'll see you in court of statements related to fishing expedition made by Letitia James, and I was just confusing them. Like, it makes it beggars belief. I don't believe him when he says that when Cam said I'll see you in court, that was the quote, that he was thinking about the fishing expedition quotes from Letitia James, like three of them. I just don't believe that was on his mind.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
To look for a quote.
I think everybody would
running.
agree.
Okay, so running on, I'm gonna find a crime to prosecute them. That's totally fine.
Did Alvin say that? I'm going to find a crime?
Yeah, he said What was the exact quote? What you call it, Cam? You were talking about it earlier that he said he was running on seeing Trump in court.
I did not say
I even like how, now I'm doing a little bit of psychology here, okay, I admit, so I'm going out a little bit on a limb here, but I think it feels like Sean even recognizes that he's fucked up in the middle of that, because you hear Sean say, hold on, Cam, you had the quote, and then he stops himself, and then he changes to, you mentioned this earlier. Listen to this again, sorry.
You were talking about it earlier.
Crime? Hold on.
Yeah, he said what was the exact quote?
What was the exact quote?
What you call it, Cam? You were talking about it earlier.
You were talking about it earlier. He does a little. He was going to say you had the quote, but you were talking about it earlier. No, a little mind reading, but but Cam wasn't the one. Also, by the way, my claim in my response video, it wasn't who had this exact quote or whatever the fuck. It was that Sean was the one that brought this topic up. Yes, you brought up Alvin Bragg. You're the one that brought this whole topic up. Cam is only talking about this because you brought it up.
As you did.
Yeah. Imagine saying
Cam
that,
was
I know
responsive
that Biden is a fucking Nazi. I know that Biden is a Nazi, and you're back and forth. And then another guy's like, oh yeah, Biden said that he wanted to eat all of the Jewish children. And then at some point, me and Sean are arguing again. And I'm like, wait, hold on. And Sean's like, yeah, I know that Biden is a Nazi. He wanted to do crazy things. And I'm like, hold on, wait, you said you wanted to eat Jewish children, really? And Sean's like, well, yeah. I mean, hold on, Cam, you had that.
Cam,
you were talking
brought
about it
it
earlier,
up.
right? Yeah. It's like, wait, hold on. But then later on, Sean says, well, I knew that somebody wanted to eat Jewish children, and I thought maybe it was him. Then, well, if you were willing to defend the position the whole time, then why are you even mad about tossing it back to Cam? Yeah, just own it. Yeah, what the fuck?
It's the same thing with the topic, right? He says, well, Connor sent me a message, but you authorized and then endorsed it and defended it, right? So
yeah.
Even
so it doesn't matter.
The case that someone else said it, you are endorsing it. And also, it's blowing my mind here. The way he's going to try to get out of it and said Cam started is, well, Cam is the one who had the quote specific quote. So he's, even to throw Cam under the bus, he's doing this like, no. What we care about is the specific quoteness.
Yeah.
That's what we care about, is the fact that it's the specific quote as opposed to my claim that he's going to promise to prosecute. And again, he's conflating, even in this clip, between fishing expedition, see you in court, promise, campaigning on prosecuting. And so in his mind, he's mixing everything. And what you'll find is the quotes that he's using for Letitia James are not going to map on to each one of those positions. They're going to be different. But go ahead, sorry.
Earlier that he said he was running on seeing Trump in court.
I did not say Cam was the first person to bring up Alvin Bragg. I said Cam was the first person to bring up a quote.
Cool. I'll answer the question too. Yeah. So I don't think it's a threat to democracy. I think it's a bad and corrupt thing to do. But
wait, can you find a quote that I thought he was the first one to bring up the quote, but I also thought the quote was real.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So because I also had this, so I would have known about the quote or thought about the quote because I had my independent basis for thinking that there was a quote.
Yeah.
to bring up a quote.
Cool. I'll answer the question too. Yeah. So I don't think it's a threat to democracy. I think it's a bad and corrupt thing to do, but I don't think it's a threat to democracy. Democracy will not cease to exist if you vote for Alvin Bragg, who explicitly campaigned on going to court with Donald Trump.
Related to Alvin.
What? So wait, what was the quote? He didn't even hold on.
He didn't bring a quote. Yeah.
He campaigned on going to court with Donald Trump.
Related to Alvin Bragg, a specific quote. So when they're saying I made up
quote.
a quote
What is the-
that I
so just-
Alvin
quote?
Bragg
Yeah, one more
Democracy.
time.
I think it's a
bring up a quote.
Cool. I'll answer the question too. Yeah. So I don't think it's a threat to democracy. I think it's a bad and corrupt thing to do, but I don't think it's a threat to democracy. Democracy will not cease to exist if you vote for Alvin Bragg, who explicitly campaigned on going to court with Donald Trump.
What quote? He campaigned. He's not even saying he said a thing. He's just describing actions. He explicitly campaigned on going after Donald Trump. Like, what?
It's not a quote.
He's not even, referring to a thing that he said barely. Like,
It's not
like
even.
what, yeah.
It's not more of a quote than your claim at
He didn't even-
129,
exactly,
which was like
yeah.
he promised to prosecute.
Yeah.
They're both the same level of quoting.
Quotedness.
In that they're not quoting. Yeah.
Related to Alvin Bragg, a specific quote. So when they're saying I made up
He's
a
even
quote
saying a
that
specific quote.
Yeah, he's even
a
using.
specific quote.
Yeah.
Where's the specific quote there?
Yeah.
And how is that not a lie?
It's a bullface lie, yeah.
quote that I went looking for that I couldn't find. The reason I thought Cam had the quote is because he previously had presented the quote.
What
wait,
quote?
Okay.
That quote, what you call it, Cam? You were talking about it earlier that he said he was running on seeing Trump in court.
Oh yeah. He specifically said that he was the person that had the most experience on the ballot with dealing with Trump.
now-
And now he's gaslit Cam into defending it. So
But
Cam didn't
Cam
know
is
what was
actually
going.
getting-
Yeah. So Cam is only talking about Alvin Bragg because Sean brought it up earlier, and then when
Yeah.
I'm pushing Sean on his stupid fuck macro theory here, Sean leans back onto Cam and say, "Cam, you had that quote right?" Cam doesn't know, and now Cam is saying something, and Sean ended up like 2 videos later is like, "Yeah." And then Cam brought up this specific quote, and now Cam is trying to defend a thing that Sean has basically gaslit him into thinking he said that he only initially was even talking about because Sean brought it up. What the fuck?
But the worst part is the irony is Cam's actually getting somewhat the substance of what Bragg said,
True.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah. Because Cam's position is more nuanced. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. He specifically said that he was the person that had the most experience on the ballot with dealing with Trump in court.
Cam did nothing wrong in this exchange. That this is not me throwing him under the bus.
So pause real
now,
quick.
in the
So once he said that, you should be like, oh, so I guess it wasn't see you in court. He's just saying he has the most experience.
Yeah.
With respect to, but he doesn't stop there and be like, oh, I guess I was wrong about that.
Exactly.
Because the Cam shit is all a misnomer. It's a fugazi. It's a fuzi. It's a woozy. It's a wazi. It doesn't matter because he had his own basis for thinking the quote unquote specific quote existed. But really, what we're not talking about specific quote. We're talking about the position that he promised to do something. He said something approximating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go after you.
Yeah.
hypothetical, I referenced a scenario where somebody was talking about what I described to be a fishing expedition. Now, again, remember, I'm being accused of manufacturing a quote out of nowhere when what I'm actually doing is remembering what Letitia James said.
Pisco, when he brought up the Bragg stuff, right? If he did, this is a criminal lawyer guy, and that's what he markets himself as, and he went to school for criminal justice. And how many videos do you think he's made? Dude, I went through his thing, his Twitter account. He talks about bail every day about all these new rapists coming, and when he goes to quote Alvin Bragg's, it doesn't exist. He can't find it. In fact, all the quotes on the record are the exact opposite.
That was horrible, Connor. So what he did was he pretended that Alvin Bragg made some statement approximating, I'm going to go after Trump on anything.
Fishing expedition was...
Now, this is what annoyed me because Steven...
That is so bad faith of Sean in that moment for a couple reasons. Number one, you are not saying that no one on planet Earth ever said those specific words. You're saying that Bragg never said those words. And so for him to pretend that we're accusing him of wholesale making up a quote with respect to anybody, how could you think that that was our position? It doesn't even make sense. It's the same thing with the democracy on the ballot. How can you think our position is 100% for 10 years, whatever democracy is going to be gone? And then number two, you even hear me clarify that I say some statement approximating.
Yeah.
I use the word approximate because we're not saying a specific quote because no one is like relying on the specificness of the quote in anything we're talking about.
Yeah.
said, and Pisco affirmed and doubled down on this, that I made up a quote about Alvin Bragg. Like, it came out of nowhere, I just made it up. But in reality, this is me recalling and paraphrasing this Letitia James
I'm sorry,
quote.
I have to pause. I know I keep doing this. I have to, though, because it's actually insane. So
it's just everything he says is just a lie. It's like misdirection, lying. It's all the boogie talks. It's everything. Yeah, it's just every single thing.
It's completely insane to say that, to take our statements and be like, what we should have been thinking this whole time is that Sean is confused about someone else who said that. And so we should be factoring into when we say things, as opposed to like actually listening to what you're saying and the words you use, we should be thinking, oh, he's confusing with some other person in the world, in the history of the planet, who said these words. And that our position is that no one ever said this, that such that Sean could be confused.
Yeah.
Is that really what you're accusing us of? That was our problem with what you were saying?
Yeah, it does. It's just, again, because if you follow like the logical induction that's used earlier, everything falls apart, right? If I say Donald Trump planned and wanted to do January 6th because when he was in the Oval Office, he said, I'm so happy that these guys are here and finally we can fuck shit up. And then later on, it comes out, it's like, well, I remember somebody said that. Oh shit, actually, I think it was McConnell that said that, actually. It was McConnell. Yeah. So I was just thinking McConnell. I was like, well, wait, hold on, but you were justifying a totally different argument. Yeah, this doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense, yeah. Unless he presents substantive other evidence here that's going to say, this is why my other arguments are still justified, right? Because we're also ignoring that he literally just kicked the leg out of. So well, actually, hold on. I will eat all of my words if at the end of this video he says, so Letitia James, because maybe he's about to present a bunch of bad stuff about her. He says, yeah, Letitia James, she's a bad apple. Alvin Bragg seems like a straight shooter, though. It seems like he tried to do everything above board. If he walks back everything that he says about Alvin Bragg, then fine. Yeah, what?
Although notice at the start here, he said, it's absolutely my position that Alvin Bragg campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump.
True. Yep.
And so that's just not true, folks. That's just not true. He said he would go where the facts would take him. The direct opposite.
All right.
This is me recalling and paraphrasing this Letitia James quote.
I will be shining a bright light into every dark corner of his real estate dealings. And every dealing, demanding truthfulness at every turn.
So yes, to be clear, both.
So he has now identified the quote-unquote quote he was remembering.
Actually, wait, hold on. I need to hear how he phrases this first. 1 second. Because now I'm familiar with all these because I looked all these up. Hold on.
It made up a quote about Alvin Bragg. Like, it came out of nowhere. I just made it up. But in reality, this is me recalling and paraphrasing this Letitia James quote.
I will be shining a bright light.
And I need to listen for 20 seconds. Hold on.
Demanding truthfulness at every turn.
So yes, to be clear, both Alvin Bragg and Letitia James ran on prosecuting Trump. Bragg touted his...
Yeah. Okay, so 1, so he is still trying to bring Bragg in here. Number 2, this quote was from after she was fucking elected.
Yes.
And hold on. I don't know if you watched my video going over this. He knows this, Pisco.
He knows it.
Do you know why he knows it?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
You told him?
No. Because when he was making the video on her, he used a very intentional word when he was talking about this quote. And he said, this is what she said before taking office. He used that phrase, not she was running on it or before she was elected, because he knows. Because he knows that was her victory speech election night. So he's still lying about this.
Dude, and it's even worse than that. So yes. So already he's disproven because it happened not while she was campaigning. So that's already disproven,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
Number two. Now you notice the equivocation there. It's not promising on a fishing expedition. Now he's saying promise to prosecute. So he's conflating those two things.
Yep.
Number 2. Number 3, this isn't the quote unquote specific quote that Cam brought up.
Yep.
Cam brought up this quote unquote specific quote, I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
None of what that is saying is I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
So what you're saying was the quote I was thinking about with respect to Cam's quote of I'll see you in court is not even a
was a
Letitia
different
James
person after they were already elected that didn't even map on at all to, like, what more evidence do you need of somebody desperately trying to search for something to shore up their position when they, like, he's already decided how he feels about Bragg and Letitia James without ever having any fact of it at all about it, right? Like, okay, ready?
And there was never even a specific quote.
Yeah.
And the only quote that was the I'll see you in court. And this isn't it. And it happened after the campaign. And it's a different person.
Yeah.
And we're lying. And he's saying he wasn't wrong about anything.
Yeah. And this is so obvious. He just clear this up for bad faith people, right? That's the only reason he's doing this video.
It's
just to clear it up for bad.
clear.
And he's still like, somehow Bragg is still along for the ride, by the way, on this quote too. Because he said, this is what I mean. And he brings up both of me. I'm like, wait, what?
And so if that's the case, if it's also your position that Bragg did the same thing, because now he's conflating fishing expedition with promise to prosecute, then you're not backing off. Then there's no difference between Letitia James and Bragg. You're treating them exactly the same. So why would, if you're conflating promise to prosecute and fishing expedition, those terms, and you say they both did promise to prosecute, then there should be no problem finding the quote that's essentially the same thing, or you're construing his previous experience as essentially the same thing as this quote, as a fishing expedition, which is also promise to prosecute. It makes no fucking sense.
No, this is all like great. Yeah. All right.
Demanding truthfulness at every turn.
So yes, to be clear, both Alvin Bragg and Letitia James ran on prosecuting Trump. Bragg touted his credentials as somebody who had sued Trump a bunch of different times, while Letitia James, again, this is election night. It's like after midnight. That's why it's...
Oh, so he even knows it. He even said, okay, and then also, hold on, but because keep track of it, okay? Right? We've gone from, I'm accusing Pisco of having beat the shit out of me to, okay, well, somebody else said that they beat the shit out of me, but let's collect the facts. We know that Pisco said he goes to the gym, and also this other person says that they do MMA. It's like, wait, well, how does it even connect now? Because if we don't have any quotes from Alvin Bragg doing anything bad, what's the problem with Alvin Bragg saying, I've got experience prosecuting this guy who's currently under investigation and prosecution in the city of New York, where I'm literally running for office. Like, what the fuck?
To take up this investigation specifically.
Yeah, this is literally what his job is going to be. What the fuck? Yeah.
It says November 7th, said that she was going to election night. It's like after midnight. That's why it says November 7th.
So now
said
you're going to
that she was going to look into all of his dealings after she said specifically his real estate dealings.
And this is why he's going to go to a different quote, because he knows the timeline is fucked.
Yeah.
And so he needs to find something before the election is over, but it's not the claim that he's saying. So now he has to have a different quote, even though his whole argument is about the specific quote, and he hasn't presented anything that's the exact specific quote of "I'll see you in court." Mm-hmm. And so now he has to give a second quote, but it's not clear how that second quote relates to his claim or the specific quote, except the fact that it's before the election day. But he needs to put that in there so that no one in the comments who's not really paying attention will be like, wait a second, this is after the election day. So that someone who's just like watching it will be like, oh, at least there was one quote that was before election day. But not realizing that it totally undermines his entire claim.
Sure.
That there was a specific quote and that this was what I was thinking about, not the other quote.
She's not saying that she's going to focus on the Trump organization, which apparently there was a complaint that ended up being concluded with the Trump organization dissolving in December of 2018.
Hold on.
She's not saying that she's going to focus on the Trump organization, which apparently there was a complaint that ended up being concluded with the Trump organization dissolving in...
Look at how he downplays so much. I guess there was a complaint, and it ended up, I guess, with the Trump organization dissolving. There were ongoing investigations, not just complaints.
It was a major news story.
Yes.
Trump Corporation.
Yeah.
It was
everywhere. It was not just a random complaint that had been filed to a court somewhere, maybe in New York City. That's not. Yeah, he's downplaying, so equivocating. Yeah. Okay.
In December of 2018, she gets sworn in January, so that was done before she was the attorney general. But I believe the case was announced well in...
Wait, but why would that even matter? Wait. Even if it was dissolved in December, you said that she gave that one speech in November. So why would it matter if it was after she took office? If she, none of this makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So that means he is sensitive to the timeline and he's sensitive to the criticism.
Yeah.
And but this isn't responsive at all.
Yeah. It's just it's wild. Yeah.
Into the campaign, this is her promising a fishing expedition. Now there's also...
Wait, hold on. I gotta listen to this one. What?
That ended up being concluded with the Trump organization dissolving in December of 2018. She gets sworn in January, so that was done before she was the attorney general, but I believe the case was announced well into the campaign. This is her promising a fishing expedition.
How is it her promising a fishing expedition if the case is still ongoing when she made the quote that you gave? You just said that she didn't take office until January, but the case was over in December. So now you're pretending like it's a fishing expedition, even though she would have already been elected and in office. And even though the quote you gave was before the case was resolved. It's okay.
Now there's also a video that I showed in there.
and then we walk away. Whew! He's like, okay, we got through that one. Okay. Next one. Let's go.
This is a separate quote. I don't know why I'm giving a separate quote.
Holy shit.
Now there's also a video that I showed in there where a woman who I guess was a minor candidate for office goes up to Letitia James and asks her if she will sue Donald Trump.
Minor candidate for office. I think this lady was I think she was part of the state She was part of like a city council thing. She's not running for the same. I don't know what he's implying. I don't know if he even is, but okay.
This is also after the election.
Yes,
and
I
it's
believe so.
an even
Yeah.
worse problem with this
Office
one.
goes up to Letitia James and asks her if she will sue Donald Trump.
And what would you say to people who say, oh, I'm not going to bother to register to vote because my voice doesn't make a difference, or I'm just one person?
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're gonna definitely sue him. We're gonna be a real pain in the ass. He's gonna know my name personally.
I love it. He probably does.
Bro, it's so bad because this quote arguably is
Hey, Gaston,
more
thanks for the
aligned
50
with
membership.
I'll see you in court. Because if you promise to sue somebody, in a sense, you're promising to quote unquote see them in court, but it's just for civil. Suing someone is almost always, when you say sue, it's almost always implying a civil context. But the problem is that is not the same thing as what you're talking about, which is the criminal prosecutions against Donald Trump. And so this quote doesn't do what and he must know it. He must know that this is not one-to-one with what you guys are talking about with the criminal case. And you couldn't have confused this for what Bragg is saying, right? Like, people have already forgotten what we're doing this for, right?
Yeah.
We're not actually having a conversation about Letitia James. We're not supposed to be having a conversation about Letitia
To be
James.
clear, too, we're also not having a conversation about fucking quotes. Like, you understand, these are people running for really big offices. I would never try to, you don't have to prove anything based on like a fucking 20-second TikTok video. Like, they give whole ass campaign speeches. They publish platforms on websites. They have interviews with media. You don't have to try to like divine what they're thinking through like a 10-second fucking video. And this was all 5-6 years ago. So where was the improper behavior? What are you even talking about? What happened that you think was wrong? Like, it's all of this is so ridiculous. Yeah.
Guys, don't get distracted. The whole point of this digression isn't to talk about Letitia James, but that's what he's turning it into. He's turning this into, look at these Democrats, they're being so corrupt, when the conversation is, this is how I confused two black prosecutors. Like, that's what the conversation is supposed to be about. But now it's turned into this, like, let's go after Letitia James, and it's not adding any explanatory weight to why I messed up with the quotes, which is the actual thing. We're not actually talking about Letitia James.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out. Okay. Also, this clip is from November 7th, 2018, which might have been.
After.
It was either on the day of or the day after, the election. So this clip was on November 7th, 2018, and it was this is an Instagram account of Adina Miles, who is a community activist who ran for New York City Council in 2019. Okay, that's who this other person is. Okay, all right, gotcha. All right.
And this is just such a minor point. It doesn't even really matter, but Trump said lock her up. Trump was running on getting Hillary Clinton in jail. And so, like, pretending that you really have a substantive problem with this when the exact same thing. And remember, Letitia James, Trump did not get his DOJ to charge Hillary, although there's people who say that he tried to. And Letitia James did not charge criminally Donald Trump with anything. And so, they both ran on it, I guess, of suing or something, but that's not exactly something you have a problem with.
Yeah. Hold on. I just want to, just to show this video was posted on November 7th. So this is after the election. This is still after the election. So even if we did want to make the claim that she was going on a fishing or promising to do it for votes or whatever, we still haven't proven that. And also, again, these people have made tons of speeches, tons of statements, done debates. Like, if it's out there, it'll be very easy to find. Why are we using these clips that are all from after the election, right?
And none of these are the specific quote of I'll see you in court.
Sure.
They're all different ways of saying what he says his thing is. And so that disproves the notion that this entire thing is about a specific quote. It's about a position, not about a quote.
Sure.
It's so fucking
It's
bad
so
faith.
dumb.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Now, this video was posted on Instagram on November 7th of 2018.
Oh my God. Okay.
Now, this video was posted on Instagram on November 7th of 2018, which is the day after Election Day. There she is saying that she will sue Trump, not for any specific reason or anything like that. And then there's a third video.
Like, he's reading so much into this. Like, come on, whatever.
In September where she's on the debate stage and she says you have to follow Trump's money, you have to see if he did money laundering or colluded with Russia or China.
It's really critically important that everyone understand, as was mentioned by Mr. Bahara, that filing a lawsuit, simply opening up an investigation, can ruin lives. And so with respect to Donald Trump, we need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy and whether or not he's colluded not only with Putin, but also with China as well.
And to me, the fact that she's not talking
Wait, let me hear his summary of it. One second.
Talking about a specific case like the Trump Organization case, or I believe Trump University was killed a couple of years before that. It seems like she's talking about just going through his stuff to find out if he did this or that.
What a horrendously stupid fucking intern. Like, none of this is real. This is not a real human being. This guy is not a real person.
There's so many other things that are wrong with this. This is the only quote that predates the election. Yeah. Fair. And
well, actually, he said that the Trump University was dissolved before, so this quote might even be from a different election or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But this is the only one I think that predates the 2018 election.
No, I think wasn't this. Didn't he say, when did Trump University dissolve?
Let's find that out.
I thought he said 20. I thought he said, or yeah, Trump University. I thought it was December of 2018.
Cease operation in 2010. You're talking about Trump Organization?
Fuck, I don't know now. It was the one that he brought up.
Trump Organization also dissolved.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sure. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. So it's the only one that predates the actual election. In this statement that Letitia James gives, this is where the equivocation between promise to do a fishing expedition and promise to prosecute are different. Everything Letitia James is saying is completely investigatory in nature.
Sure. Yeah.
And so now, so notice that. Now, we're not saying that it's good to necessarily be going after someone. You're reading into it if you say this is just for political reasons, because she could be referencing the ongoing, like, all-encompassing investigation into the Trump Organization.
And it's just like like imagine a sheriff running on, like, we need to do something. We need to arrest people that are raping our women or whatever. And it's like, arrest them without even having probable cause. You're going to arrest them for no reason just because they look like a rape. Like, why would you ever assume that? Like, what a stupid fucking.
Yeah. Yes. And so it is an assumption. It's a case that you have to make. I don't think that it's the best quote ever, and it might still be wrong, but it's not a promise to prosecute. If anything, it's a promise to investigate. And that's where the claim of, promise to go after, promise to prosecute, and promise to do a fishing expedition, where he's conflating all of them, they're different because their evidence is being served in different ways. Another more fundamental thing. He says that this isn't the quote he's thinking about when he said the Alvin Bragg thing. Remember, we're only looking at these quotes for the purpose of informing why he made the mistake.
Yeah.
But he says this isn't the one that I was thinking about. I was thinking about the first quote. And so why is it relevant to bring up this quote if it wasn't supposedly the one that you were thinking about? Why are these quotes that weren't what you said you were thinking about relevant at all, unless you said that you did have knowledge of them? And then we're meant to believe he actually had this very specific knowledge about these three different quotes.
Yeah.
And that's what he was thinking about. That makes it less likely that he was mistaken with Alvin Bragg, right?
Yeah.
If he knows more than one quote about Letitia James, the plausibility that he's thinking about Alvin Bragg goes way down. And then it just makes no sense that he was actually thinking about these three different quotes. None of these quotes say, "I'll see you in court." None of them.
Yeah. And it's funny because even in the quote he gives, she even opens it with, like, we have to be really careful when you charge people with crimes. You can ruin people's lives that way.
People's lives,
like, yeah. So clearly she's differentiating between charging with a crime and just doing an investigation, which is, but.
Or the other, which again is a fishing expedition. Now, look, there are a few other videos that people have been sending to me over and over again. And while I appreciate that, I care about you, I care about your feedback, I'm not using the now this clip, which I've definitely seen for a reason, because A, I don't care that she called Trump an illegitimate president, and B, her saying he should be charged with obstruction is like an opinion. And then there's another one where she says something that sounds bad in isolation, but just prior to that, she named a bunch of policies that she's concerned about that she's saying she'll fight back against if elected to attorney general. That's all completely fair game
here, or this is more bad faith. He is now gaslighting his audience that we're just looking for quotes that make Letitia James a bad person.
Sure.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about why you. So now he's literally saying, like, oh, if you would have brought a quote that I literally wasn't thinking about, that would somehow further my point. He's changed and he might just be too stupid to realize what the even argument is. Or I think what's more likely now is he's deliberately misleading his audience into thinking that the controversy is about Letitia James as opposed to what he said and why he said what he said.
I also like how he says, like, that's just an opinion, when technically the strongest statement that she's she's made that could be misconstrued or could be taken as like unfair prosecution is her literally saying Donald Trump needs to be charged with this crime. Like, that's probably the strongest statement she's made about it. And he's like, well, this statement is okay because it's just her opinion about a thing. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, wait, what? Just her opinion about, as the Attorney General of New York, about if somebody should be charged with a crime? What do you mean? It's just, yeah, like,
because she's probably referencing the Mueller report,
sure,
and that would seem to imply that he has an understanding that she has no jurisdiction to charge the obstruction of justice with respect to that stuff.
You can call somebody a legitimate president. You could say they should be charged with obstruction based, again, likely on facts that are out there in the media that she is reading into. And you could also say that, yeah, you're going to challenge policies that actually exist. I believe one was Muslim ban, which, again, I'm not getting into the fact that it was not technically a Muslim ban. One was something related to immigration. Yeah, that's fine. But to be clear, I 100% stand by that both Letitia James and Alvin Bragg ran on going after Trump. The reason Alvin Bragg said...
We're going back there. Hold on. Also, just as a quick matter of understanding, okay? Sean doesn't know this, okay? Sean is an idiot. When Sean is making these differentiators, okay? Pisco might have missed this, okay? Because I'm down in the ditches of fucking mental retardation. When Sean is drawing these big distinctions between challenging the Muslim ban and the immigration thing, and he says policy, and then he says that's a lot different than the Trump stuff, Sean, I think, legitimately believes that Letitia is in some position to like suggest to the legislature or the governor some difference in policy. That's not how that works. These people, she would be challenging it in court as a prosecutor, the same way that she might challenge Donald Trump in court as a prosecutor. Now, one might be as charging, like, fighting over a matter of law, but you could also argue that these are just as much a fishing expedition as anything else. Oh, I'm going to challenge that Muslim ban because I know Trump did it with racist intent or whatever, right? This is a thing that you would have to investigate. This is a thing that would have a whole discovery process to go through emails and documents to see if you could, like, further, that theory. Like, this could be just as much a fishing expedition as anything else. I don't know why he would ever draw such a huge distinction between policy legal challenges versus
I think I have a rationale.
Yeah.
Because he knows that basically every single right-wing MAGA prosecutor runs on suing the Biden administration for shit. Like, think about all the policies. Student loan policy, right? Who's suing the Biden? Like, states are colluding to have those suits. Everything related to immigration, they're constantly promising to sue the Biden administration. By the way, part of what Bragg is referring to when he says, like, we've sued Trump is not necessarily even though there are certain cases in their personal capacities, it could also be a reference to cases against the Trump administration. And there's an additional conflation there between the official capacity suits and the capacity, suing someone in their personal capacity for like money damages.
Yeah.
In addition to the additional distinguisher of criminal versus civil.
Yeah.
That's fine. But to be clear, I 100% stand by that both Letitia James and Alvin Bragg ran on going after Trump. The reason Alvin Bragg said repeatedly throughout the campaign,
going after. Go back. So now he's saying they both ran on going after.
Yeah.
I thought it was fishing expedition. I thought it was promise to prosecute. You see how weaselly this is?
We don't know what he means on any of these things, right? Yeah.
Yes. And so this is just a lack of clarity, right? And by definition, Bragg was running on going after Trump because he was promising to continue the investigation.
Yeah.
And so if the standard is promise to go after, then I guess, yeah, he did run on promising to go after Trump because there was an ongoing investigation that he was promising to resume. And so it can't be that was your claim.
Yeah. And all of this is like, it's so dumb. Like, Donald Trump ran on lock her up, on like going after locking up Hillary Clinton. So much so that he even said that Hillary Clinton shouldn't be allowed to run for office while under investigation, right? And I don't know, my timeline's fucked up, right? The FBI and the email stuff and all that investigating, that was happening under, was that happening
DOJ.
While Trump was in office, right? Or was that, or was this Biden?
No.
Hold on, I mixed my timelines.
That was under Obama's DOJ with Comey and Loretta Lynch.
Did the email stuff, was the email stuff totally done by the time?
Yes.
Because Comey announced that he was opening it before the election. Never mind. So it bled through, but by the time
investigation mid-year exam.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Ready?
Yep.
After Trump. The reason Alvin Bragg said repeatedly throughout the campaign that he had the most experience litigating against Donald Trump is because he wanted that to help him get the job as district attorney. He wanted people to vote for him as one of the best, or actually the best person in that field to continue cases against Donald Trump.
To continue? Wait, so then...
So is that a fishing expedition?
Yeah. Isn't what he described, doesn't it make the most sense in the world that a person running as the district attorney would run on having prior litigant experience against a guy who's currently being sued by the place that he's running for district attorney for? Like,
currently being investigated. Yes. So what Bragg is saying is, I have the chops. He's not commenting on the merits of the case. He's saying, I'm a good person because I actually have experience in handling these big cases. That's the completely not just good faith reading of what he's saying, but the most plausible interpretation of what he's saying, given all the qualifiers that he's saying that even Sean acknowledges. But he's turned that into, well, now he's promising to continue cases.
Yeah.
That's not a promise to prosecute. Promising to continue a case isn't a promise to prosecute. A promise to prosecute is, I'm going to charge Donald Trump. And it's constant equivocation on what the nature of the promise is. And what he's offering now, the continuing the cases, isn't what he said, which is, my position is still that he promised to prosecute, that he ran on prosecuting.
Also, he's making all these statements now 14 and a half minutes in. Are we going to get any quotes from Bragg at all? Because we haven't had a single one so far. Are we going to get any?
There's no quote.
Yeah, we're just saying, also, at the end of all this, no offense, but why would any of you take your word for anything now when you've destroyed your credibility so much? You absolutely need to cite to at least one thing, right? But
Letitia James, way more bold in what she said she was going to do. I am not walking that back.
Remember, she hasn't said anything. I don't even. Again, I think there was one quote. He's given 3 or 4, I think, from Letitia, but there was only one of those from before the election night. I think that's if Pisco's correct in that was that debate. Right. That's only one was from before election night. So.
In any way, shape, or form. The thing that I am trying to dispute is the idea that I made up a quote about a fishing expedition where you're saying you're going to look into somebody, which, by the way, is me paraphrasing, because that came from Letitia James. Again, misattributed to Alvin Bragg.
So it's not about a specific quote.
Paraphrasing, because that came from Letitia James. Again, misattributed to Alvin Bragg. Fair.
And came from her after she was elected, generally, right? Most of the quotes he said after she was elected, because he said, this is the one I was thinking about, and it was the one on November 7th. So it was after. So the one that he was thinking about was after she was elected, and it didn't apply to what she was running on, which he's now attributed to both her and Bragg. Okay, it applies to after she was elected, right? And he said it was for continuing investigations, not for Alvin Bragg. He said he promised to continue investigations, not that he was going on a fishing expedition to open new ones, right? So wait, was he promising to continue investigations into Donald Trump because of political bias? What? Wait, what? How does that even make sense?
Yeah.
As opposed to what? He should have promised to end them? Or he should have made no statements on investigations that he's running for? Yeah, sorry, I'm not going to tell you at all.
Criticism. But in reality, I did not make that up out of nothing. Now, except for that last clarification, I'm keeping this video contained to things that I got wrong, things that I was incorrect about, because I'm not trying to make another long video. And I promise you guys, I will do my absolute best, unless it's a serious lie like I made up a quote, which I absolutely did not, to not get into every single petty dispute over this conversation. Hey guys, Editing Sean here. I'm not sure if I made this clear enough in the video, but I am sorry to you guys out there in the audience. You're the ones who expect me to go through the documents. You're the one who expect me to go through the articles.
Just to be clear, I don't think Sean has ever read a case in his entire life from top to bottom. An 11-page anything, but...
and make a concise breakdown that is informative, that doesn't contain ridiculously stupid errors like this. I didn't do that. I am the one at fault for these mistakes, and none of you should feel the need to go out of your way to defend me or to use my bad information as your argument, because that's one of the worst outcomes, is that you guys get something from me and then you end up looking bad, you end up looking stupid. So yeah, I apologize to you all for these errors. I messed up. You guys can see the sourcing in the description, make your own judgment, shame me appropriately, all in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness and whatnot and how I messed up. Till next time.
Yeah, it's just dumb. It's just standard 101 abuser manipulator tactics in terms of just applied to political conversations.
The last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you get going on whatever you're doing. We need to talk about the only evidence that he has now of a political prosecution, because remember, he's accusing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the one statement from Letitia saying we have to be very careful because criminal charges can ruin lives. So we need to follow the money. We need to, that's the one statement.
I'm even talking about Bragg now.
Oh,
So
I don't even know what we
Bragg-
had for Bragg. He didn't cite anything in particular, but go ahead. Oh, except for
still
him having the
believes-
experience, yeah.
And he should be shamed about this. So he's claiming that the prosecution is political, not because of the nature of any of the charges brought, because he's been like dead wrong about that. I doubt he even understands that there's additional unlawful means beyond the campaign finance stuff. I doubt he's like followed the trial at all.
Yeah, because he never makes a substantive critique ever. He just says, he gives me the same critique I could get off a dude on the street. Like, why do I need this guy? Why did you go to college for 4 years just to tell me exactly what my mom and dad would tell me about this? Well, they made new stuff up. What?
Can you remember the tweet when he said he's done none of the cases? He hasn't looked into these cases at all?
I already blew my 120 about that. I responded to that like an hour ago, yeah.
Okay. Well, that tweet is so damning because what you're saying is
I've done almost zero of the Trump cases.
The actual criminal case, but I know it's political because it's unique.
Feel free to look at my very public backlog because I don't cover Trump or presidential politics that often. I've spoken about the Fani Willis controversy related to Nathan Wade more than all the cases combined, and that's 2 to 3 vids. Then why do you even have an opinion on this?
Why do you know it's a political prosecution?
Yeah, why not just say like,
Really?
oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Why do you know? I mean, here's the thing about Rob Noor, and I know that this seems like a Zach, but it's not. Rob Noor, you might not agree with his argument, and I'm not using valid in the logical sense, but I'm using it in a more loose sense. But his arguments are at the very least valid, and what I mean by that is he's bringing up double standards to show it's political. If it's true that there's a like case which the DOJ or the district attorney did not charge, and they did charge for the Trump one, that is evidence that, if true, would go towards the inference that this was political.
Yeah.
I think this isn't even like his argument, Sean's argument doesn't even get out of the starting gate. He's not offering any statement that shows it's political, and he's not offering any attempted like double standard. All he's saying it's unique. And if all it is unique, how do you know it's political as opposed to there's a reason, a non-political reason why it is unique?
Yeah.
It's not even at the starting gate. And for you to smear Alvin Bragg when you acknowledge you have done like no research on the actual underlying case, and by the way, every statement you make shows you have no understanding. You're confusing the DOJ charges for campaign finance reform with falsification of business records. You're confusing the statute of limitations and the jurisdiction there. You don't even know about the statements made by the 2 prosecutors. But you're so confident it was political. That is bullshit. And you need to continue to be called on that every time you suggest impropriety without evidence or even an argument. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Good shit, bro.
Pretty annoying, but...
Yeah. Anything else?
No. Anything else, Dan? What a wildly stupid video.